Happy Easter. Oh, he's dead. It's the day after Easter. You got a bunny for Easter. You bought it yourself for you or for someone else, maybe for your kid, or maybe you're a kid who got an Easter bunny surprise from your parent. The point is, rabbits are impulsively bought every Easter. I feel like most people have heard the whole don't get bunnies for Easter thing. I'm not going to bore you with that first of all, because what's really important is if you already got those rabbits, how are you going to take care of them? Over the years, I've owned lots of rabbits. All of them were some type of rescue situation. I love rabbits so much. They are one of my most favorite pets. The most important thing is to run through a list of what you're going to need. The obvious one is a cage. There are lots of people that have house bunnies, but this is a really big commitment. It may sound cute in theory, but it doesn't work for everybody and it doesn't work for every bunny. It's not the same as bringing a dog home and having the dog have the run of the house. You may live in a place where they can live outdoors. Some people leave their rabbit outside in the warmer months and keep them in during the winter. You have to be really careful though that they don't get too cold or too hot, because either one of those could kill them very easily. And also there are always a risk of predators even if they're caged. Most of you should probably just stick to your typical indoor rabbit enclosure. Please hear me when I tell you that pet stores are not the place that you should go to get your information. They are never ever a place to go to do your research. It may seem very counterintuitive, but you do not go to a grocery store and get dietary advice from the grocers there, the people stocking the aisles. Just like with that, you would not go to get pet care advice from the people that work at pet stores. Same with pet product brand. They just want to make money. There are so many types of food, toys, accessories, cages that are marketed towards a certain animal that are completely inappropriate for that animal. Unless you can find a cage that is literally like 5 feet long, please don't buy it. You need to make sure it's not too short. Shorter is good for guinea pigs, but rabbits jump. They hop. They sit up on their back legs and look around. My personal favorite type of rabbit enclosure is one that I've only had a bit of experience with because I started doing it with my last rabbit that I had, and I would totally do it again for any rabbits I had in the future, is a dog pen. I think metal dog pens are the best type of rabbit cage because they're huge. They can take up a huge amount of space and they can be tall, so you don't have to worry about the rabbit jumping out. So it's important to find a place in your home that's not going to get too hot or too cold and has enough space for a dog pen. With a dog pen, what I did with my mom is I handmade a bottom to it out of wood and coroplast. If you're concerned about your rabbit jumping out, you can buy or make a cover that goes over the top of it. Hay is the most important part of a rabbit's diet. It should be the majority of their diet, specifically Timothy hay or any kind of grass hay, not alfalfa hay. Timothy hay is very pricey, especially again in pet stores. I found out that I can get Timothy hay in a bale form from a local farm for like $5. It'll last me months and months and months. You store it in a bin in your garage, maybe take out a handful and keep it in a bag or bin in the room that your rabbit lives. And don't buy anything that's like $10 and over. That's asking way too much for a little square bale. I'm not talking like those huge giant things that, you know, that would be ridiculous, but one of those square hay bales. It's important that they have access to hay throughout the day. One thing that people don't realize about rabbits is that they cannot go more than 12 hours without eating. The second most important part of their diet is pellets. Two of the best brands that I discovered were Oxbow and Martin Little Friends. Personally, I like Martin Little Friends better. My rabbits seem to enjoy it more, it lasted longer, and it was cheaper. And it's got pretty much all the exact same ingredients as the Oxbow rabbit food. Oxbow is good, but it's so pricey. For the majority of rabbits, unless you're talking about a really big rabbit, give them literally like a quarter of a cup of pellets once a day. That's all they need. It is important to know what type of rabbit yours is, because you need to know how big it's going to be, how much food it's going to require, how much space it's going to need. And then fruit and vegetables, of course, very important in their diet, but you do not want to overdo it. A lot of people think of them only eating like carrots. Carrots are really, really, really good, and they should have them, but not in large quantities and not every day. Try to give them a variety. It's something that could be expensive, but just doing the work to look at your local grocery stores, which ones have cheaper produce, look at the sales, use coupons, look at like their discount rack, because you know they'll have stuff that is like past due or whatever, but it's still decent. There are a couple that I will mention that you should absolutely never give them. One is corn, the other is tomato, the other is peppers of any kind, including bell peppers. They shouldn't be eating nuts or seeds or junk food or dried fruits and veggies. The things I would feed them on the regular for fruit and veggies would be banana, strawberry, romaine lettuce, don't give them iceberg lettuce, kale, carrots, apple, Brussels sprout leaves. It's nice to give them like a bowl like this big around, fill it with, you know, variables, because fruits and veggies have high water content. So they can get diarrhea pretty easily from things, and diarrhea can be fatal to rabbits. If you notice more runny poop, then just cut back on the amount of fruits and veggies you're feeding. Pet stores will advertise mangers for hay. From my personal experience, mangers have been the most irritating product for rabbits. Every rabbit I've had that I've used a manger for got so frustrated and mad with it. I highly recommend combining their hay with their litter box. This may sound weird, but rabbits like to eat where they do their business. This is gonna seem humongous, but this is a cat litter box. I don't know if you can see it all properly. You could just use like a bin, like a plastic bin of some kind. Pet stores always sell those corner litter pans. They're never big enough. They never have sides that keep in hay and bedding and poop. Rabbits are constantly digging and kicking stuff out of them. And it lasts a long time because it's big, so you can put a lot of litter in there, and it keeps stuff in. Like the high sides is like the best because they can dig or whatever and stuff isn't flying out everywhere. So what I recommend is filling this up with litter on the bottom, and hey, if they soil any of it, they just won't eat it. Rabbits are very smart and they can be taught to be litter trained. They don't like sitting in like a puddle. They like when it's soaked up. The trick I learned was not to give them bedding or blankets outside of the litter box, because then they would just pee anywhere because the pee was being soaked up everywhere. But if they learned that, you know, on a harder surface, if they peed there, they'd be in puddles, but if they peed in the litter box, it would be soaked up, then they always went for the litter box. Overall, I found that they do not smell that bad, especially if you're cleaning up after them consistently. Water! So I found that water bottles are really obnoxious and frustrating for bunnies. My preferred method is a bowl. This can get messy, especially depending on the bunny, but what I found, my favorite bowl that I found was a stainless steel one that comes with a attachment, and you can attach it to a wire cage or dog pen. So it's up off the ground, so it can't be spilled or jumped in, but they can still reach in and drink. The ability to just suck as much as they want and get like mouthfuls of water instead of this frustrating licking and getting a little drop at a time. For cleaning, make sure you have garbage bags on hand. This is handy for just dumping the litter box and all this stuff right in the garbage bag and then bringing that garbage bag out to the trash or dumping it in a compost. Make sure you have a scoop, like a cat litter scoop, for obvious reasons. You're gonna want a broom and dustpan specifically for your rabbit, not like your household dustpan and broom, because hay in particular and rabbit fur gets so stuck in those bristles and you'll end up tracking it throughout your house. Toys are a really interesting subject with rabbits. Every rabbit I've had has had a completely different relationship with toys. My favorite rabbit I've ever had didn't care about any kind of toy at all. Didn't matter what I gave him. But then I've had other rabbits that like to toss things, like they love any kind of toy that they can throw around. I had a rabbit that was obsessed with basketballs or soccer balls. I had a rabbit that loved like hanging toys. I would say don't go crazy with buying a whole bunch, especially because at the pet store they're really expensive, because your rabbit may not give a crap about them. The one that I found to be the best toy, which is super cheap and easy to come by, is toilet paper rolls. They love to toss them, chew on them. So important to get the bedding and litter correct. So many people go to the pet store and look for the cheapest bedding for their rabbits, and that will always be wood shavings. Please Don't ever, 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 ever give your bunny wood shavings. If you have it now, get rid of it. Rabbits have really sensitive respiratory infections and skin. The oils and the dust from any kind of shaving can really upset them. Also, there are a variety of woods that are actually toxic to them and could kill them if they ingest it. Pine and cedar beddings are the absolute worst. So what I recommend 100% is paper-based bedding. There are a couple cheaper options. One is the one that I stick with, and that is Boxo Comfort paper bedding. It is so much cheaper than Carefresh, but it is exactly the same thing. But another option is that you can make your own. There is an Erin's Animals video where she teaches you how to make your own paper bedding. For litter, you could obviously use the same bedding, but I prefer something more absorbent. So I get paper litter pellets. It's meant for cats, it's made out of recycled newspaper, nothing harmful in it at all. It absorbs so well, and its odor control is pretty good. Highly suggest not buying any special spray or cleaner. Get a spray bottle, fill it half with water and half with pure white vinegar. It is so great for killing bacteria and especially for odor. Last but certainly not least is vet care / getting your rabbit fixed. Make sure you have the money for it. Make sure you have a correct vet to go to. Not every vet will treat small animals or exotics. And it's important to set aside money, in a separate account or something to make sure that when the time comes, you'll be prepared and you'll be okay. A little bit a month goes a long way. Just really do your research into the vet thing, As soon as you get the animal, don't do it when the animal is, really sick. And then panic and try to figure out where to bring it. Do it now. And then neutering and spaying. That is a really complicated issue with rabbits. In my area, our local Humane Society actually made it mandatory to fix all the rabbits that come through their shelter before they adopt them out. That's fantastic because it communicates to the public that this is the norm. This is what you should be doing. The problem is that vet clinics have not caught up yet. You have one side of the animal community telling you, get your rabbits fixed. You're a bad owner if you don't do that. But then you have the vet clinics who are like, oh sure, we can do it for, $700. And you're like, do your research into the vet clinics in your area. It's important to ask around to all your vets to figure out what the prices are. A lot of people opt to just fix the males and not the females. I totally understand because males, it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot safer. Males are just so much more pleasant once they're neutered. Females, it's more expensive, it's more risky, but it is something I recommend if you can do it. Yeah, they've driven me crazy, the ones that I've had that haven't been fixed, and it is a complete change once they are. Reproductive organ cancers are really high risk in female rabbits. Male rabbits too, but not the same. Ovarian cancer and uterine cancer are really, really common in female rabbits. I think last time I checked it was an 80% chance of uterine cancer in female rabbits that weren't spayed by 4 years old, I think. Bonding with your rabbit, so important. Of course, it's not something to be ashamed of if you're not connecting with this animal. If you're doing all you can and you're not connecting to it, it's just like with people. There's some people you're not going to get along with, and there's some people you're going to love forever. So I think it's really important to do your best to try and connect and bond with your new pet. But, if it's going on, 5+ months or even years, and you've tried your best and they're just not connecting, it might be a good idea to consider rehoming them because ultimately you'll be better for them. Lots of rabbits, especially baby rabbits, they can be really, really skittish, and you just need to give them time. Now, teach your kids not to be too loud or too rough. Don't force yourself on them. Let them come to you. Let them smell you. Offer them treats. If they can take treats from your hand, that's a big sign of trust. For the most part, in general, rabbits should be with other rabbits. There are always exceptions. There are always those rabbits, I've had some, that are healthiest and happiest being the only bunny in the house. I do have quite a few videos on this channel about bonding rabbits. There is a playlist. I highly suggest taking your rabbits to a rabbit savvy vet, having them sex them for you, because it is very difficult for the average person. Even me, who's had experience with rabbits, it's so hard. Unless there's some big balls that, decide to drop, it can be really difficult to determine if they're boys or girls, especially when they're little baby Easter bunnies. The whole bonding rabbits thing can be very difficult. The older they get, it can be more of a process to bond them. It's not a situation where you just drop a bunny into another bunny's cage. That will end in horror. This will kind of segue into my last point, which is do your research. You can never ever do enough research. Go online, become a part of rabbit forums, connect with, you know, rabbit owners in your area. Go to like rabbit shelters and sanctuaries where they actually know what they're doing. Join rabbit groups on Facebook. Don't just take everything from this video and think that you've learned everything you can about rabbits. There's so much stuff that I haven't covered. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really commend you if you came here to do research on rabbits, because yeah, that means you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, anybody you know that has rabbits, got rabbits for Easter, anything like that. If they're, you know, spread the word. Let's help people know how to properly care for these animals so that we can minimize the amount of them that are in shelters. Please subscribe if you're not already, it helps my channel grow. I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.